What is going on, everyone? Griffin here, and we are going to be talking about a way to combine your proficiency and also advantage into one singular mechanic called favor. So let's head over and let's talk about it. So as you can see here, the system will be using the basic polyhedral dice set. So you have a D4 that has a probability of 25%, a D6 has a probability of 16.7%, the D8 has a probability of 12.5%, the D10 has a probability of 10%, the D12 has a probability of 8%, and the D20 has a probability of 5%. Favor. What is favor? Once we go through the dice, we need to know what favor actually means. So favor is a die roll mechanic that expands what characters are capable of in significant ways. When you roll with favor, you roll a standard d20 and also roll the favor die that corresponds with the modifier and add the values together with the modifier. For example, if you roll an anatomy expertise check with favor and this expertise has a favor of +3, you will roll a d20 and a d8, adding these two results together, giving a greater result. Please use the chart below for reference. So for a +1 is a d4 and it scales up from there. +2 is a d6, +3 is a d8, +4 is a d10, and +5 is a d12. So one of the things that I don't really like about D&D all that much specifically is how they do proficiency bonuses, right? I understand that it's supposed to be a, numbered representation of how your character is progressing as you level up, but it doesn't reflect that in other ways, in other needed ways, in my opinion, such as gaining more skills and applying those skills where you want them to. Being proficient in a certain skills doesn't allow you to become proficient in other skills as you level up and as you adventure through the world because of how the mechanics of D&D work. And I understand why they work that way, and I understand why it's implemented in that way, but also it sucks because you don't get a real-time explanation as to how your character is getting better at things and how your character is learning things on the fly and becoming more experienced in those things. And to me, I didn't really like that much. You start with this, and sometimes you'll get a couple of bumps and a couple of increases here and there as far as like the skills you're proficient in and things like that. But overall, you don't really get to apply, the proficiency idea to a lot of the things that you would realistically learn unless you work with your DM on it. And that is a case-by-case scenario where some DMs may be all in favor for it. Some DMs may not be in favor of doing something like that and want to hard stick to the rules. So how do you make this a better system? How do you give players what they want, in my opinion, which is a way for them to gain experience and grow their character as they adventure? This is the system on how to do that. Additionally, it gets rid of advantage. So advantage is a great mechanic that D&D has, and a lot of other game systems take from D&D the advantage system where, you get advantage, you roll 2 d20s, you take the highest, or you have disadvantage, you roll 2 d20s and take the lowest. It's very simple, it's very streamlined, it's very easy to make judgments, it's very easy to put mechanics in the game that revolve around that idea. But it's very specific on when you gain advantage and disadvantage, right? Whereas I want to put the control in the player's hand. What do I need to do to get favor on something? And if I need to do this thing to get favor on it, then let's do it. And the favor system is a little bit more loosey-goosey to where if you learn information about something and then you approach that specific thing that you learned the information about, then maybe you get favor on doing checks, expertise checks or even ability checks to be able to access that because you have the information for it. It gives a little bit more flexibility, and it also lends itself to role play more because you have players that are going to be going out of their way to try to gain information and learn as much as they can about whatever it is that they're about to encounter, whether it be a puzzle or a creature or whatever, and use that to their advantage. You also have a lot of mastery options that lead into that, and also tool sets in the system also lead into that. You are able to pick up one tool set during character creation, and when you pick up that tool set, it grants you favor in that specific expertise every time you do an expertise check. So if you pick up a first responders pack tool set, then you get anatomy expertise. You get favor in that. If you pick up the Voyager's tools, you get exploration expertise. So you have the ability to have these different tool sets, and you can almost swap them in and out as needed depending on the situation, right? Because you're going to have a pack, you're going to have a kit, you're going to have something that is going to allow you to be proficient in that specific moment. But there's hard constraints where you can only have a certain amount of tool sets with you at any given time that's going to give you favor on specific expertise checks. So I think that plays into roleplay a lot more, where it's like, well, maybe we don't have a character or a player that has the specific tool set needed, but we need to find this information out. Maybe it's like a skills check type thing, and if you fail, then whatever you're trying to get into or whatever you're trying to do is like perma locked off, right? In a situation like that, you want to explore and gain as much information in that specific area as you can before you tackle whatever that challenge may be. This allows for that. Favor opens up a lot. And like I said, it's very interesting how the dice work, because as you gain larger dice, your percentage of probability goes down, right? So it's a very interesting way of looking at it. If I have a +1 in anatomy, I'm going to roll a d4, and there's a 25% chance that I'm going to get a 4 out of it. Whereas if I have a +5 in survival, then I'm going to be able to roll a d12 with that, but the probability of landing on a 12 is 8%. Which it has more sides, it has more variables, different outcomes associated with it, but you want to gain the highest outcome that you can out of each dice, right? So you're realistically going to be taking into consideration how the players approach expertise checks and what they have favor in, and how that they are going to use that favor to their advantage. Like I said, this to me solves the issue with characters not gaining the experience, especially in social and exploration encounters where you're going to be using a lot of expertise or skills in this game. This is going to allow players to grow in the way that they want to. Being able to dump boons, which is basically your XP, into your expertise and becoming more proficient over time with your different expertise that you have. And then also being able to do favor on top of that and giving that mechanic a go within the system is going to give the players a real good feeling of progression as they play the game. And that is kind of what is missing with D&D, in my opinion, and other systems. It's like your characters get better, but they get better in ways that doesn't feel natural, if that makes sense. D&D to me doesn't realistically translate in that way. It feels very binary, in my opinion, and I wanted to give something that was a little bit more free-flowing. So that is how the favor system works. It allows players to grow. That expertise kind of lumped together shows that, hey, you can be proficient in this thing. You just got to do something to make yourself proficient in it. You may have to use a mastery option, investigate the area, talk to people. There's a couple of different ways that you can gain favor, but you're going to want to go out of your way to do that, because you're not going to have anything else that's going to be, contributing to your die rolls other than favor. So what do you need to do in order to gain favor on the specific thing? And are you willing to do that? But be sure to let me know what you think in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on the favor system? And do you think that this is a better alternative to both proficiency bonuses and also advantage? Or do you think that this is a little bit more convoluted and makes things a little bit more difficult and a little bit harder overall to track and maintain? Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments. Also, be sure to check that description for links to Facebook, Discord, and Twitter. Those are the places to contact me. Also, there will be a link to the master document in the description down below. So if you're interested in checking the system out, at least what we've got so far, please be sure to check that out and give me any feedback that you have on the system overall. If you haven't already, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you've already subscribed to the channel, then consider hitting that join button to become one of the 256 crew members. Lastly, on Thursdays and also on Sundays, I will be streaming here on YouTube and also on Twitch. So if you have any questions or concerns about the system, please feel free to swing over there and we'll talk about it. We'll talk it through. I will pause whatever game that I'm playing to talk about this role-playing game in a heartbeat. Thanks for watching, guys.